Hi, Bae. It's me, Bae Le Stray. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Today we have a podcast version of Spilling the Tea with Wilma Finderdoo. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Hey, Wilma.
Hey girl, hey!
Ooh. Did
I'm having a
Jorge
little
bring you that drink?
cocktail. Well, no, it's his night off. Actually, it's too late for Jorge to be working, which is good because I'm not wearing pants. And no, I like to throw myself a skinny biatch. It's vodka and Diet Coke. Mm, delish.
We just got done with Drag Race Canada, and
Uh-huh.
that Drag Race Canada is going to change Canada's drag at all?
No, because Canada is a drag country. Toronto, where I live, people think it's the capital of Canada. It's not. It's the capital of Ontario. But Toronto is a drag city, and we have it all: bearded queens, Latin queens, pageant queens. Brooklyn Heights is from here, and I think that the queens that you saw on Canada's Drag Race are a great representation of what's out there now. One of the things that we have going for us is we have Montreal queens. Montreal as a province is very much connected to Europe. Celine Dion was famous in Montreal, then France, then the world. There's also a male singer, Rock Voisine, you've never heard of, but he is so delicious and gorgeous still. And he famous in Montreal, famous in France. He can't walk down the street still in France without being mobbed. Uh, no one else in Canada has ever heard of him. Do you know what I mean? And so we're very divided when it comes to our French province. But the one thing that's fabulous, and there's not one gay man in Canada who will give up an opportunity to go to Montreal for Pride because it's the best Pride. It is the best Pride. It's like going to Europe without exchanging your money. Um, and everyone has an accent, and it's everyone's hot because they all have an accent. And then you go and you see these drag queens who are being influenced by all these European trends, which are early for us. Like you're seeing stuff in Montreal that you won't see in the rest of, even in America, for a year. And it's it's exciting. Uh, this is why I think that it was Nikki Doll on Drag Race from France.
Yes.
I feel like sometimes this is why European influenced people don't do well in North American settings because they're just ahead of the curve a bit, and people aren't. They're like, I can't get my head around that, so I'm just going to hate it for now. Like I remember when low ride pants came in. The reason I know that is I was working on a TV show, and the actress was American, and she wanted the pants low ride, and we were still wearing mom jeans in Canada. Like nobody had really dropped the waist like that. But then she showed me a photo from a magazine. I was like, oh, okay, I get what you're saying. But she wanted them low, like the girl in the photo, and I'm like looking at her body and going, well, you have a long pelvis. If I do that, you're wearing a bum bra. Trust for me to put it so it looks like that on you, and then we were fine. But it's very common for things to not catch on in countries, and so I love a Montreal drag queen. Like you're not ever going to see anything like that anywhere in Canada yet. And then when you look in Vancouver, like Ilona Verley's from there, and it's a very indigenous environment. So their influences are much more broad, and there's a lot of organic and natural, and the whole hippie movement's alive and well out in Vancouver. But then Seattle and San Francisco are all just underneath, and it's very easy to go and be influenced by the Americans, and they come up to Canada, up to Vancouver a lot. There's a lot of American productions being shot, so the culture's exposed. So it's very different in Vancouver too. And then every once in a while, you come across some queen in the prairies. There was one queen, I wish I could remember her name, but while Drag Race Canada was on, she had a couple of videos that were saying like negative things about them not representing all of Canada because there wasn't anyone from the prairies there. It's like, well, There's a reason. No, I'm kidding. But she had some great videos that were like, well, gee, you are hilarious. I'm sure she'll be on in another season. But the hard thing with a small population in a large country is we have very different communities. They're not really connected. They're very far apart. Because of that, there's a lot of sour pickles. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of, well, they get like Toronto. No one likes Toronto because we get all the funding and but it's like we also have 2 million people, or, the population of, I don't know, it's huge. I think I'm so terrible because I don't go outside anymore. But it's between 2 and 4 million in Toronto. It's growing all the time. In a time when we need social distancing, they're building 3 condos within spitting distance of my building. It's like, ugh, this isn't going to go well. But I think that the nice thing about Canada is very diverse, but we're also lazy. It's too far. Like I've been to Edmonton. I got this tattoo in Edmonton, but I'm not going there a lot. It's not, it's not a trip I want to make every year type of thing. And then you have the East Coast. East Coast queens are the best. They're just like the Montreal queens because they're very unique to themselves. There's not a lot of, they're influenced visually. As I say, I think Drag Race as a movement has done more for drag. Like it's really brought a lot of, it's also elevated drag. We have bio queens now. I said something on my channel that a couple of people misunderstood, where I said, I don't think we can call it drag when women do it. I'm not saying they can't do it, but drag by definition is the illusion of changing your sex. So you're either a drag king or a drag queen. And if as a woman you want to dress as a drag queen, I love the term bio queen. That makes so much sense to me. I'm not saying you can't do drag. It's just got to be called something different just because. And it's the same with bearded queens. Like, I love a bearded queen, and I wish that I had been exposed to bearded queens more when I had a beard, because I probably would have kept it, or at least tried a few things. But I love that we have Madame Madness and that fabulous queen on Super Drags. Is that German one? Have you seen that with Heidi Klum?
I didn't get to see that, but I know who you're talking about, and
Yeah.
the worst.
Yeah. Conchita Wurst is one of the judges. Yeah. And I mean, look at her. Hosts, but look at her winning Eurovision 3 years ago. Like, when would that have ever been allowed if it weren't for Drag Race? And I'm sorry, it is. And I'm not trying to elevate RuPaul. I don't want to pretend that she's done this to improve the world. This is a great way for her to make money, and good for her. She has lived this long. She should be making money now when she needs it the most. But I mean, it's still a great moneymaker. She's selling the franchise globally because she makes money for it. And why shouldn't she? But at the same time, this benefit of it, like there must have been on some level an awareness that the drag community would change because of this. And I'm sure there were, on some level, like maybe having a drink after pitching it or something. They were like, oh, wouldn't it be great if? But I don't think people really saw RuPaul ever winning an Emmy, or it being on television for 13 years. Good grief. You get people like Blue Hydrangea or Blair St. Clair that are coming on the show who have watched it since they were 9. You know what I mean? It's like, and they're still in their 20s. It's like, you're not even young and you have been watching this? Oh my God, how old am I now? I remember watching the first season. It was on MTV here in Canada, and there was all I heard was RuPaul. All I heard was RuPaul, Drag Race, whatever. RuPaul's on TV. Click. And I was like, what? The first thing I thought was like, what's on the lens? What's happening? Why can't I see anybody? And then it was like, who is that? What's going on? What am I watching? I was in love from day one. And it wasn't until season 4 when I started reviewing it. And what happened was season 4, I was working for Out TV here in Canada, which is like Logo TV in the States. And I used to do this weekly update for them, like just to promote what was coming on TV that week, new things, new episodes, stuff like that. And at that time, season 4 of Drag Race, like they were saying, oh, we're promoting Drag Race. I was like, oh, good. So one of the things I used to do for this little job was I'd research everything, so I'd know what I was talking about. And I looked on Drag Race, and one of the things that came up was Hedda Lettuce. Have you heard of her? She's a New York
I've heard
queen.
of her from New York. Yes.
She has, if you can find it, she has a cast reaction video for season 4 that was so funny. Like in one moment in the video, she just holds up a bowl of nachos and just says nachos. But every queen, she just cut to, and I laughed so hard. And I said to the executives over at Night TV, you guys should do something like this. You should get a drag queen. And it's like, why don't you do it? It's like, well, I'm not a drag queen. It's like, well, but you're funny. We know you could do it. It's like, okay. And at that point, I was sewing for a drag queen, and she had said, oh, I heard a great drag. I used to always say, like, if you're in a restaurant and like you're reading the menu and like focaccia panini, it sounds like a drag queen name to me. So this is where that was my drag queen name in high school came from. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, somebody's being arrested outside.
I
And
thought that was at my house, honestly.
so this person, this drag queen said, oh, I heard this great name. It was Wilma Finderdoo. And I laughed so hard. We were walking home from somebody's house. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. And at the time I had a radio gig. I was doing morning radio. And if I introduced like a Karen White Superwoman song or something, I would go, if I were a drag queen, my name would be Wilma Finderdoo, and I'd sing this song, click. And so when they said you do it, I thought, oh, all right, well, I already have a name. And so it was very no make. I had eyelashes and a wig, and that was more or less, it was awful, awful. And I reviewed the whole season 4, and Sharon Needles at one point sent out a tweet or a reaction to one of my videos going, this queen is hilarious. And that video got 10,000 views, like in an hour. It was ridiculous. And on season 5, on the recap of the season before the finale, I was featured as one of the top 5 recappers for RuPaul's Drag Race, and with my goatee and the bad wigs and everything. And then, yeah, and the rest is history.
Your drag has elevated so much
Thank you.
from your early videos. And would you ever see yourself auditioning for Drag Race, or did you audition for
No,
Canada's Drag Race?
no, I'm 54. I don't want to stand in heels, period. Never mind that long. Also, I'm, I've won contests. I've done things like that in my life, so I'm good. Like I have that fulfillment. I really love drag. I would much rather judge it and be on the show, whether it's regular or as a guest. I don't care. I sent the creators, like I didn't send an audition tape for Drag Race Canada, but I knew I'm an actor in Canada. I knew exactly who the production team was, and I sent them an audition tape as a judge, as a guest judge. And like I had talked to RuPaul's Drag Race about this, because I said there was one season, I think it was after season 6, with Adore Delano and Courtney Act. There was a fan who was recreating all of the outfits in paper. And I thought, oh, that's great. At the time, I was recreating all the challenges and little hats. And I bought all of my material at the dollar store. Like it was all a non-conventional material. And so I had contacted the people who contacted me for the that season 5 top recapper. Like I had got this email from RuPaul's Drag Race. I'm like, what's going on? And so I emailed them back like a year later, 2 years later, and said, I have a great idea for a segment. It would be for the queens to make a hat. And I said, and I would love to present the challenge, which I can do on video. I can film it for you and send it to you. And they loved the idea, but of course, I don't work down there, and I'm not throwing the idea at the fridge every time there's, a pot of noodles getting boiled. So it never came up again, and I'm too Canadian to bother people. But I did send to the Canadians here a little audition tape, which, because I'm known in Canada, I'm not famous, but the industry knows me because I've been in it for so long. Like, I've done wardrobe and I've acted, so both sides of the camera. And so I sent them this little, just to let them know, like, also Knock Knock Ghost, the show I host, is like on a cable channel, so a lot of people haven't heard of it. So I just expect that nobody knows who I am. So I sent them a little video that showed a speed up of me putting my face on, and then like segments like the RuPaul thing, and there was a couple of other things. I hosted an event here in Toronto, not as Wilma, because at that time I really didn't have Wilma drag, but I was making all my hats. So like Wilma was like, even now, like I'm not wearing the bottom half of this outfit, but I do make full outfits. I just don't wear the full thing. And at that time, I was only in drag from the tits up. So they said, "Can you host an event?" And I was like, "In drag?" And they're like, "No, you don't have to do it in drag." I said, "Oh, thank God." And I hosted Bob the drag queen, Courtney Act in Alaska. This is right after Bob won, and just after Alaska had that, "I'll pay you $10,000 if you don't send me home," that whole thing. And they called the event Shady Queens, and I had to ask them shady questions. And I even was looking at them going, "Oh, I'm not asking her that. Does she know? Like, can I go up to her and ask her if I can ask her this? Because I'm not going to throw, like, I'm sure these girls don't need that. You're probably not paying them enough for them to be insulted." And it was a fun evening, though, because at one point, Alaska just lay down on the stage, and then she hit the stage. She goes, "Help me." And I looked across, and there's Bob the drag queen looking at me, and Alaska's in the middle of the stage on the floor. And Bob looks at me, and I'm looking at her. And then I just ran out and grabbed her by the hand and dragged her off stage. And I have a video of that on my channel. That it just makes me laugh, just dragging a drag queen. But I wasn't in drag for that, and I wish I had been. But now I feel like one of the things that I thought that I would do it. Bae, this is how it started. So you see my wall here. I one day, I don't know why, but right here or here there was deodorant or toothpaste. Something was I'd left it here, and I don't know. I don't remember even doing it. But I always interact with my messages, and somebody sent me a message going, "Girl, what's with the tooth?" I thought, "Oh God damn it!" So for the rest of that year, I put different things there just to see if people would notice, and so it looked like I meant to do it. And then I got another message. Somebody's like, "Girl, that wig is thirsty," and I'm like, "Oh!" Like the one wig I had been wearing for 2 years. It's like, "Oh no!" And that's when I thought, yeah, I can't judge these bitches if I'm not. You know what I mean? Like I need to make the effort. So even before I shaved my goatee, I would do like base makeup and contour and false eyelashes, not makeup, but when the goatee went, that's when. And then my theater background, I was using, now keep in mind, I sew for drag queens, so I knew all the makeup they used, the Krylon sticks and everything, and that was all fine. But fast forward to the beginning of this year, there's a fabulous drag queen in Montreal called Siatha Knight, and if you go to my channel, you'll see me doing a couple of videos with her. She came in from Montreal when Canada launched, and we did a like what we thought video together. And so she came in, and I'm sitting across from her in my apartment as she's getting ready, and I'm kind of almost ready. And every time she looked up, she was getting more and more dewy and beautiful and feminine. I'm like, and I looked like divine after a hard night. You know what I mean? I just did not look good. And I said to her, "Excuse me, what are you doing? What are you wearing?" And she was using all Jeffree Star at the time. And I, like, my background for makeup was only theater makeup. I didn't know what primer or highlighter or any of that. If I put contour on, it was with a stick. So I kind of started looking at all this and like setting powders that weren't cakey and and so I actually at that time, and this is April of this year, went onto the Jeffree Star website and looked at stuff, and I was like, wow, is this ever expensive? But I also thought, well, I literally sat in front of this bald construction worker who became this virginal princess like in an hour. So I'm not going to deny that. But at that time, I didn't realize that all companies make concealer and all companies make setting. I didn't know. So I was just kind of like, oh, so I ordered a couple of things. And then in the 2 or 3 weeks that it took for that stuff to come, all of that stuff happened on YouTube, and then I realized it's like as I'm waiting for this makeup that I already spent too much money on. Oh my God, I bought a racist makeup palette. Like, and I just couldn't, in my heart, I knew this was going to be a problem. And so if you notice on my channel, I have never done a review of it. I have it. I will use, like I have that, I have some setting powder and some uh, concealer. And because I didn't have concealer, didn't have a fine setting powder. And the setting powder I got was rose. But now Like I have a what's that, Cody powder? They
Go to
have
your
a
skin.
rose in, you know, you can get that in anything. Like, and so in the 2 weeks I was waiting for this hateful makeup to come to my house,
Mhm.
I researched everybody else. Nikki Tutorial had a fabulous video about Juvia's Place. I have all their palettes now. They're all gorgeous. So I've really learned a lot about makeup. And in that process, like, you know, I taught myself wig styling. I already could sew. Sewing's the hardest. Wigs are the second hardest, but makeup, this is, I'm not surprised people can't do makeup on other people, because you just have to get used to doing it, and that's all. You don't get better at it. Like I think a lot of people that transition late, male to female, they miss those formative years as girls where they just allowed themselves to just stick it on their face and not care if it looked good. You know, because you have to start somewhere and then learn what you like and learn what your face needs. And even drag queens, like there's not a lot of drag queen, like unless you have a drag mother. There certainly was before RuPaul's Drag Race. If you wanted to learn drag, you had to talk to a drag queen. Now, well, you, as I say, YouTube is my drag mother. Like if I needed a question answered, YouTube will do it. There's a answerable question on there somewhere.
Yes, and you mentioned YouTube is your drag mother, and you did
Yeah,
mention that you came from that TV background doing without
yeah,
TV, your reviews.
yeah.
What led you to the point where you wanted to start your own YouTube channel?
I had one as a stand-up comic. I still do. I haven't put anything on it in 6 years. Uh, I What happened was I was maintaining my own channel of stand-up, and I would edit stuff and post stuff. So I was fairly active. All of the stuff I did for Wilma for season 4, 5, and I think 6 was all Out TV. So all of that is on Out TV's YouTube channel. I have links to them, I think, on my channel, but I don't have the videos. So I didn't get any of the numbers. And I did it. I did a test once because I was getting about 10,000 views 8 years ago for one video on YouTube, but it was on the Out TV channel. So I posted a video, um, the same video on my I had started a Wilma channel and nobody was watching videos on it. I also wasn't creating content for it. And I even posted, as I say, a video there that I had on TV, and the numbers were not even like a third. You know what I mean? It was not something I thought was viable. But then Out TV stopped doing Wilma. And at that point, I would post everything on their YouTube. Like I had access. They didn't do anything. And I think I was only getting paid maybe $100 a review. Plus, they were showing them on TV as a commercial, so they could only be 8 minutes long. And to cut it down, it was impossible. And so when they finally decided not to continue with Wilma, I had enough followers and enough views, and I was interacting with enough people that it was worth it to me to continue. So I already had started Wilma's page, and I think 2 years ago, she was at 400 subscribers. I don't know how long I had her going, but I remember like 2 years ago, I looked at the number. It's like, 465 subscribers, something like that. And now I'm just almost at 4,600. I'm like at 4,390 something. And that's been 2 years. I've like, 4,000 viewers more or less, uh, as subscribers. In Canada, I'm thrilled with that, only because we're a smaller country. I do have a lot of American viewers, but like nobody in Canada knows who I am. And anytime like somebody like yourself contacts me, I'm like, are you sure? Like who's sick? Because I do enjoy what I do. I do like that people enjoy it, but I also don't kid myself. I'm small potatoes. I'm not endorsed by anybody. If I tell you about a product, I bought it. And it's the same thing with Drag Race. Like I love it. One of the things I'm able to do is like I had to subscribe to Wow Presents to watch Drag Race Holland. I had to subscribe to Crave TV to watch Drag Race Canada. I had to subscribe to Out TV to watch Drag Race. So I've been able to, with donations through PayPal, pay those subscriptions through PayPal. So I'm able to maintain the information flow without it costing me anything at this point. And that in of itself is a thrill. You know, if I don't have to pay for something, I'm a happy girl.
Yes, and you did just start sprinkling a little bit of makeup content, and you did speak a little bit on your makeup journey. But what really compelled you to start putting that on your YouTube and start becoming a quote unquote beauty guru?
Oh my God. I really, somebody said to me, I do this thing on Patreon called my weekly watcha. And a watcha is in Britain, it's like, watcha, Jerry. You know, it's like, how are you? Like, what's going on? What's new? How are you? Like, so when you say watcha to somebody, don't say, oh, nothing. What, how are you? That type of thing. So I call it the weekly watcha. And my Patreoners can ask me anything. They send me the question, and then I just do a video on it. I have two I need to edit. I'm a little behind on it right now, but people have said from that, like, oh, I love these. I love listening to you talk. I could listen to you talk about anything. And then they often will say, are you ever going to review this show or that show? It's like, I can't review any more shows. I can commit to Drag Race, but the rest of it, I can't. I need to have time to not film. So I thought I've watched a couple of Get Ready With Me's. Teresa, actually, Teresa Is Dead was, I mean, I've seen other people, but for some reason or another, hers stuck out. I think because I was aware with her that the makeup for her Get Ready With Me was then the makeup in this, and then was the makeup in, and I'm starting to watch these videos with a more technical eye as a producer, as a creator, and going, oh, it's okay to just edit out the ums. Oh, it's okay to film 4 videos with that face. Oh, like I was trying to do a different face every time, and Jesus, I have a life, you know. So I think what I thought was, in an attempt to create more content for my channel, was to film myself getting ready, because I'm getting ready anyway. So I do my base and my eyebrows like Nikki tutorials, and then I just do the eye. And really what happened with that was I was waiting on the Nikki tutorial palette, which is why I did that one. It's the first palette I've ever bought like that. As I say, I did buy the Jeffree Star, but I haven't used it. I've never told anyone what I think about it. And then, like, just the other day, I ordered 2 palettes because they were on sale together, Oceana and something else, from Ace Beauty. I call them Ace Beauty because of the accent, but everyone else says Ace Beauty, which makes it sound like Acme Beauty, like something that the coyote would throw at the roadrunner as he's going by. So I like to say Ace Beauty, but they're the next palette. And then I also bought this really cute little palette for Halloween, and I think Robert Welsh said it's horrible, and it broke my heart because I haven't tried it yet. What I've been trying to do through the Drag Race Holland videos is using the Nikki tutorial palette every time. So for this face, I did the Alyssa Edwards palette, which a fan sent me the Alyssa Edwards promo kit, the mirror. Like I said in a video, I was looking for a good mirror to hold because I have a couple and they're not great. And I said, the one I really want is the Beast mirror because it's sparkly. I'm a magpie. And this one viewer, Christine Bell Helen, sent me the promo kit, which came with the palette. And it was like, oh, so this is a little darker than I would normally wear. Like I don't usually do, but this is what my interpretation of Alyssa Edwards' eye is. So I reviewed the palette while I was getting ready. But Nikki's tutorial, she has 2 colors in her palette that are perfect for my eyebrows. So
yes, duality in palette is key for me.
Yes. Well, this is the thing, you know, when Patrick Starr's palette came out, I didn't have as many of the neutrals that I do with Juvia's Place as I do now. And I love Juvia's Place. Their Warrior 2 palette, the mattes, I love a matte.
I've been wanting
don't
to
use a lot
get
of
one of their
sparkles.
neutral palettes.
Oh yeah, I highly recommend the Nubian. There's a little green one. This one, it has some shimmers, but there's 3 brown shades in there that are perfect for all in here, like that RuPaul nude makeup look, you know, like contour and shaping. Juvia's Place, I'm so happy that I found them because they have that wow factor that the Jeffree Star products had at a third the cost. First of all, none of the palettes have mirrors in them, so they're not heavy to ship. You know, I have a mirror. I don't need a mirror in every palette. Come on, calm down. Nikki's tutorial has two. It has two. I have one face. Let's all
I
calm down.
feel the opposite. Like I
Uh,
see the palette without a mirror. I'm like, how am I supposed to look at myself? I'm just kidding.
well, if you're using it and looking, that's all great. But I put the palette down here.
Mhm.
And then the other thing was when I started doing my makeup, I had my makeup mirror in front of me and I'd hunch down and go in. And so that's how I was painting my face hunched over with no light on it. And I think I was watching a tutorial where somebody was using a mirror and they would be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they were doing something. And then I could tell from the way they were looking, they had a mirror in front of them or a monitor or something. And I was like, oh, so again, this drag queen, Siatha Knight, came from Montreal. She put her mirror on the table, but then turned around and grabbed a bunch of books off my bookshelf, which at first I was like, well, that's presumptuous. What's going on? And she put them under her mirror so it was up higher. And I'm like, why have I never thought of that? What is wrong with me? And then she had a Jeffree Star mirror, which I tell you, I love stars. The fact that he's a pig and I don't want to support him kills me because I really wanted a star mirror. And that's what started my mirror journey was and now when I see videos where even there's a Robert Welsh, he deleted all of his Jeffree Star videos, but every once in a while he has a mirror in his video. It's like, I react, like I have a reaction to the star mirror. It's like, oh, I'm so glad I never bought one.
Yes, but what has been one of your favorite things from all your YouTube fame or all of your YouTube notoriety? What has been your
Oh,
favorite experience with that?
um, there are two artists that contacted me. The first one was last year around Christmas. Lar de Souza is his name.
Mhm.
And he designed my Jorge Drink Me logo. If you go to it's branded on my YouTube channel, everywhere. It's this round circle. And he sent it to me. He just said, I love what you do. Here you go. And I died. Like I cried. It was so like I went to art school. Like I don't take art lightly. But somebody do even if they do it on Photoshop like that, I'm not good at Photoshop. So it just touched me. And so I started my Redbubble store with that. And then I think I also had a t-shirt that I had done. I photoshopped myself a photo into, and it was fine, but it wasn't great. I liked Lars better. And so I commissioned him to do an update of that t-shirt. And there's another one that's a cartoon of me with umbrellas. When I'm drinking, I like an umbrella so I can stick them in my hair and keep track of how many cocktails I've had. So he has one that says, one of my, I'm always saying like seriously or I'm so serious, you know. And so it's serious. I call it seriously umbrellas because it says seriously across in umbrellas. And then about a year after that, this woman, Denise Jarnot from Denmark, sent me a drawing of Wilma in a martini glass, like uh, oh, that fabulous burlesque woman. I can't think of her name.
Dita Von
But
Teese?
like a strip. Yes, thank you.
Ooh.
Like Aladita Von Teese, but it's Wilma in a martini glass with a leg in the air. And I was like, wow. And then she sent me all of these drawings. And so there were four, and it was Wilma in, and then these are all on, if you watch any of my recent videos, they're all there, but you can go to, in the links of my YouTube channel, there's links to Redbubble. And on the Redbubble page, there's one for Rainbow Railroad. This was a charity that Canada's Drag Race supported
Yes,
on
I
the channel.
remember.
I mean, on the show. But I had actually launched, I didn't know they were doing that. I had launched this on my Redbubble page I think 2 episodes before that. But these four drawings that Denise did are so beautiful. And she didn't want money for them, but I felt kind of wrong taking money from her work. So I said, well, why don't we donate it? And so I chose Rainbow Railroad because it's a good charity, but it's also a Canadian charity that works globally. So for me to make the donation, I can do it. And for people to buy the shirts, like if you're buying it in America or Europe, you're still supporting something that will benefit where you are as well. And so that's why I went with that charity. But then she turned around and she did these masks. She did these drawings of my lips. So we have
Ooh.
so we have a series of masks on Redbubble as well. This is my vegan vampire one, but she just drew a bunch of lips, and so they're on there now. And then she came out with these 3 fantastic drawings for Halloween: A Kiss of the Spider-Doo, which is stunning. The Bride of Frankendoo, and then the Attack of the 50-Foot Wilma. And one of the things, her drawings are so gorgeous. I'm actually looking at some of them. This one that she did that we're raising money for Rainbow Railroad, it's Wilma, like almost like she's being blown with leaves, like they're just leaves all around her. And I have some autumnal fake leaves, and I have some super mesh. So I want to copy a couple of these outfits that she's drawn on Wilma. So that's my next project, is to find
Ooh, that
time to
would be
sew for
so
me.
fierce to see.
Yeah. Because I'm constantly like, I made a bunch of these just simple little tops. Because when Rue does her videos, it's just a simple top. It's not saying one thing or another, and you can wear anything with it. And I didn't want to have a lot of outfits that were specific or recognizable as that thing.
Mhm.
So I have a couple of neutrally like glittery things to wear, but I need to make more. I bought some fabric. Oh, it's all sitting here. I just have all sorts of stuff I need to do, and I just don't have
Don't
time.
talk to me about sitting fabric because I know. But like you mentioned, fan interaction, that's your favorite part about YouTube. And you did actually create Wilma through these reviews and through almost
Yeah,
YouTube in a way.
yeah.
And where do you get a majority of your inspirations for that?
I'm a stand-up comic and an actor. I actually spent a lot of years as an improvisational actor. So for me to do something like this is not outside my wheelhouse. And even when I was doing other stuff at Out TV, it was me talking to a camera. And the difference was there was a camera operator. Now I'm alone. But it's I don't find this part of it hard, and this is the hardest part. Looking at something and acting natural and sounding like you're not reading or not memorized or not. So for me, it was just the character. And when I started Wilma, there was this voice, like I was like, okay, so hi. And it was that kind of thing. And I was like, but seriously, are you seriously doing that? Oh my God. And I would do this with my best friend, Ted Morris, and his boyfriend, Jeffrey. And Ted Morris is Wilhelmina, who's featured in a couple of my videos, and she'll be featured again. God, I've created a monster. I can't believe I have a drag daughter. I just can't believe I have a drag daughter. But anyway, uh, when I started Wilma, I kind of had that voice in mind. There was a bit of a lisp, and she was like, seriously. But I ended up thinking it sounded like Ed Grimes, Martin Short's character from SCTV. Like,
Mhm.
okay, so how are you? And the face, like, oh. And as a Canadian, every Canadian knows that. In America, it's more diverse. So you either do or you don't know Second City or SCTV. And so I just thought, oh, I can't do something that's obviously a Canadian iconic sound. So I just dropped the voice altogether. Like I tried to do the lisp still. I was like, okay, so hi. But halfway through my videos, I'm like James Mansfield. I drop everything. I forget what I'm doing. I'm more into what I'm saying. So now I don't worry about the voice. Like I don't like. I off the top I kind of say, hey, like I talk a little different off the top, but it's just the greeting, and then the rest of it. I think what helps as well is because, I do get fans that do tip me on PayPal, which again, like this isn't. I'd much rather have a subscriber like click subscribe and like than send me money, especially in these times. Like there's a part of me that, again, the Canadian part probably that I'm a little guilty. I mean, I'm thrilled there are some people out there that have the money and they want to spend it their way and they choose to do it with me. And I'm beyond flattered, and it's unexpected and it's not why I'm doing it. So it's the icing on the cake for sure. But the favorite thing I have is I've really created some good friendships on YouTube. There are people that are always commenting. They not only interact with me, they interact with each other, and they're creating quite a community. And that's the thing I love the most, especially right now, where we're not interacting as much face to face. So that's been, I think, the thing. I think maybe at the beginning I did it for something to do to keep me busy, and then I continued it because part of it was ego. I had a following, but the other part was I actually do enjoy it. And as I say, I've sewn for drag queens for like longer than most drag queens' careers, and I'm a real fan. Like I'm a real fan of drag, and I don't ever want to come off like I'm judging somebody for something they can't help. So if somebody has a stupid voice or doesn't know how to do their makeup, or like I don't know, like if there's things about somebody that are annoying, like JJ being a mean girl, I can okay, she's being a mean girl, but I can also watch what she's doing and just judge that. My opinion and my judgment are two different things. But I also don't like to be too partisan on my channel. I like to tell people who I like. These are my picks. But if somebody says, "Oh, I'm picking these two," I say, "Oh, those are good choices," even if I think somebody is an asshole. And what's funny, I'm so sorry, I just swore. I feel awful when I swear. It's terrible. There were a couple of queens on Drag Race Canada I did know. Like I knew Tynomi Banks, which is why I didn't pick her for top 3. No offense to her, she's a great performer, but she's not a competitor. She's not a pageant girl. I knew she wouldn't. There was a level. There's a level of performance in drag where you're great with what you do because you're good at it. You're doing that because you're good at it. You're not doing that because you suck at that, but you're good at this. And when you're thrown in a room with a bunch of queens and you're all asked to do something no one thought of ever doing, well, of course you're going to suck at it. But I think the problem is a lot of these queens don't want to suck, at least not on camera. It's like, well, that's the point. They want to see you frustrated. Like this is a show. If you just sat there and did well on every challenge, who'd watch that? I want to see the breakdown. I want to see somebody, throw their wig across the room and kick a dog. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't want them in my house, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, and like you did, but YouTube did come almost like as an afterthought. And did you think you would end up in drag or ever?
No. Well, it's not the first time I've done drag.
Mhm.
I years ago, a friend of mine was doing a film project. He was in film school, and he needed me to interview myself. The class was split screen or something, like I had to do two things. So we thought it would be better if I did it as a woman. So that was the first time I did drag. And I went to art school. So putting makeup on and doing all that has never been difficult. Finessing it is, but holding a brush and putting it, like, no, I've not had a lot of problem with it. But the next time I did drag, one of the drag queens I sew for, we used to do shows together where I would host the show as the comic, as the male, and come out in between so she could change costumes. And then at the end, I put on a nun's habit, and then we would do a couple of numbers together. But it still wasn't full drag. I was in flats. But as a performer, like when I'm in a bar and a drag queen's on stage, I pay attention. Somebody's on stage. Why are you all talking? Like that's who I am, because I'm a performer. And when people aren't paying attention to me, I get a little angry too. And there's some great drag queens in the city. Like, they're just brilliant. They're funny. Like even if they were to go on something like Drag Race, they wouldn't translate because it's how they are as people and the history of watching them. We have some cornerstones in the city that are just more than inspirational. But we also have Michelle DeBerry, the oldest working drag queen in, I don't know if it's North America or Canada. At one point, somebody said North America, and then 5 or 10 other old drag queens all stood up and went, "What?" So I think they changed it quite quickly, but God bless her.
And you have completely created a drag persona. And where do you grab most of those inspirations from?
Um, the persona is, it's me. Like, it's really not like, one of the things I wanted to do, and it had nothing to do with YouTube or monetization, because at the time I wasn't monetized, but I knew I didn't want Wilma to swear, which is why she says other things like "Sweet Marie and the Ships at Sea," or well, that's some hard cheese. You know, there's like old phrases that I, every time I come across one, like I just came across with that takes the pail. Like, it's the oldest, like nobody even knows what it means anymore. But I love those phrases because I think it, like, I have a couple of people that follow me with their children. Uh, this one, Miranda Kirkness and her son Zachary. Hi, if you're watching. Are like there's a part of me when I'm talking, I keep Zachary in mind. I also have this couple on Patreon that have their niece as part of their family support. They changed from the two names to the family name because she's part of it. And I'm thrilled, and I'm very aware that children are watching. You know, I don't I don't you don't need to swear or say vivid things all the time, but there's also uh, like, these kids are already watching this. Uh, like, as I say, on Out TV in Canada, that's not edited, the swearing, and these children are watching this show with the parent, like, clearly, because their parent is talking to me online, and that's the best situation. But not a lot of people are helping their children, their young children, digest this stuff. And this is a lot of adult themes. They're often making innuendos that, you know, I don't think a lot of kids understand, so they don't pay attention to them. I grew up with Warner Brothers cartoons not being edited, and I'm okay as I sit here in a dress. But I don't. I think as long as kids are watching the show with their parents, I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I'm aware that they're involved, so I don't need to contribute to that. If they want to talk, I don't have a problem with people swearing. I swear when I'm not in drag. Oh, don't stand close to me. The air goes blue. I love swearing. I think swearing is one of the best things, but I don't like to do it as well. I kind of feel dirty if I do it. I don't know. So that was the only real thing. As far as I've been kind of trying to get a face, eyebrows were always the hard thing for me. And you know who I style my eyebrows after? Mila Kunis.
Ooh.
Yeah, because she has some seriously beautiful eyebrows, and they have that, like, that straight bit here, and then they go up, and then they go down. I find if I do the straight bit here, it looks weird on me, so I just do the up and down. I try and I also really like Nikki Tutorial's eyebrows. Nikki Tutorial, for contouring and that, because she's got a wide face like I do. I follow. She's my inspiration for cheeks. Um, but as far as, you know, my favorite drag queens, I loved Roxy Andrews. I didn't like her, but visually, oh my God, she's stunning. She is stunning. I could watch that girl sit in front of a fan and flip her wig for hours. Um, I really loved Trixie Mattel because of her versatility with her makeup. Like, her and Bianca Del Rio were great for me because they had specific makeup that they came in with. And they knew it would be hard on the judges, but they were also willing to do something better. They both toned it down. They didn't lose their look, but they toned it down for definitely for things, for certain challenges. But I think I'm trying to think the queens that, like, Raven, shut up. Shut up. Every time she comes near a camera, whether she's in makeup or not, it's like she's just stunning. And Matthew Anderson, I'm just going to say it. There's something about RuPaul's face. No offense to Raven, but it's not a Matthew Anderson face. And Matthew created that nude look on Ru where it looked like she had chapstick and a dream going on. And even Raven, she's a little heavy-handed. Although I don't dislike what she's doing with Ru, but it's not that dewy, fresh, not touched by makeup brushes look that Ru used to have that I miss. And when you look at Matthew Anderson's body of work, some of the faces he put on himself and other people, definitely, I definitely look to him for inspiration for makeup. But like even you, like your makeup's stunning. Like I would, if I were watching you, my comment would be, "Where's the tutorial? Where's the tutorial, fish? Come on!" In fact, I messaged Bobo a lot through Canada's Drag Race because she was beat. She paints like when you see a queen in a bar, it's one thing, but when they're like doing like a runway, like really going for it, you don't often see that level of drag in a bar. It's not practical. And every time she hit that runway, oh my God, she was flying. And I kept saying, "Where are these tutorials, girl? Come on. Don't throw that down the runway and not show us how you did it." Say also, Alona Verley had a fantastic mug. I wish she'd done some tutorials as well.
Yes. Well, you absolutely are a fabulous queen yourself. And what would you say is your favorite part about being a drag queen?
The makeup, it's my favorite. I love watching a tutorial. I like to see how people do. Like I watched one where some girl was sticking star confetti on her face. It was stunning. Sometimes I go on Instagram and I'll just fall into like a makeup hashtag and it's like, I went to art school, so I really respond to color and I love the brushes. Morphe just had a brush sale. Oh my God. I bought so many brushes and I still don't think it came to $30. Oh, I'm so excited because one was cheap. But I love that. I love that. Also, I love glitter. Like a fan, this is another thing. A fan sent me a bunch of earrings. Look at these ones.
Ooh, those are stunning.
Gorgeous. I know. I was going to wear these, but they didn't match my hat. But like I love jewelry like this. Now, the reason I don't own jewelry like this is because I'm broke and I'm cheap. I've actually, it's funny that this person sent me these. He's on Instagram. It's Pearson Ryan, and he doesn't make this for a job. He makes jewelry for friends. And he sent me 4 earrings, and like I went from no earrings to 4. One of them's a set of maple leaves. They're so cute. But I love glitter. I love like most of the things that I'll buy. Like my phone is pink. It's on the thing. Like I'll always go for those bright. I think we call them girly colors, but I always call them cheerful colors. You know, I'll buy the pink phone because no one wants the pink phone. So I'll always know which phone's mine because it's the pink one. I also, if I buy I have a hard duty case on my phone now, so it's very black and utilitarian. It has its own protective screen for the touch screen as well. But my default for a phone case is anything sparkly, anything that looks like it's been glued with rhinestones. You know, that's my thing. So there's a level of drag for me that it's very therapeutic. Like sometimes it'll take me 2 or 3 hours to paint my face because I'm just taking my time. Let's go try that. Oh, what happens if, like I did something on this face today that I had to wipe off, but I started my face way too early. So I had the time and say, oh, well, that was wrong. And now I've learned why that was wrong. And we won't do that again. The other thing that I don't do a lot right now is I do have like a signature application of makeup that I've been doing. But lately, because I've been trying other palettes, I'm trying to try new things, and so I don't do my makeup the same. Like I'm realizing I forgot my mole. I always forget my mole. Halfway through my video, it'll appear. Like next time you watch a video of mine, just go, oh, there it is. And sometimes it's on this side. Also, sometimes I'm so excited to do my eyeshadow, I forget to put primer on, you know, not that you need it all the time, but you know, I certainly notice a difference. So it's a great way when you make these little mistakes, they really show you why you do what you're doing, not just to do it, you know. Yes. I can't smear another thing that costs $30 on my face.
I would really like to see the evolution because you have completely changed it up on your game. Is there anything today that we haven't got to talk about that you want to talk about?
Oh, isn't that funny? I always say this to people. This is why I ask my Patreoners to ask me a question, because I don't think I'm interesting. Like, you know, I often forget that I'm on the TV show Knock Knock Ghost because we shoot 6 episodes over a year and a half. Like, so it's not like a month of my life. It's like, oh, here, are you free next weekend? Yeah, yeah. And not that many people see it, so I'm not stopped. Do you know what I mean? But I've certainly been stopped. Like I've certainly had people recognize me. But I think for me to pick something to talk about, I wish that
Well, here, let me ask you
I
this.
wish I was up on any controversies. Well, what do you think about season 13? I have to say, uh, this kind of filming, this kind of contest show where you have a number cast and you're deleting people as you go, is the perfect thing to be filming during quarantines, because the camera crew aren't getting that close to anybody. They can all have masks on. All of the cast are sequestered. They're not even hanging out with each other when they're not filming. They'd be in 2 week quarantine before, 2 weeks after. Everyone's good. I think this is. I'm so happy that they're filming Drag Race. And I thought that the season 12 finale online, I mean, we all know the biggest disappointment was Rue's mask. Like, what the hell was that about? But I think we've learned now, yeah, there are concessions in this time, but we can still get our entertainment. Like, would I have rather have seen a big production show on a stage like we have in the past? Absolutely. Was I disappointed in what was going on with the way it all turned out with them filming their stuff? No, I thought Gigi Good did an excellent job recreating that video in her apartment. I
Yeah,
wish it had been better, but wow.
you know what? I like that you mentioned that because like in my point of view was like, oh well, I kind of feel bad for the queens after the show. It's not necessarily what Drag Race used to be and different kind of
Yeah,
changes. But you know what? They are making content for us during this time while we're at home,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it is gonna stay like this for a little while. So we might as
Well,
well.
and
Yeah.
here's something, Bae. One of my friends, one of my drag queen friends, actually, I know quite a few who auditioned or submitted but didn't make it on, and they're all kind of breathing a sigh of relief because of this whole COVID thing. The drag queens from Drag Race Canada aren't working. The only queen that has the rest of the year sorted is Priyanka. She got $100,000. But just recently in the village where all of our bars are here in Toronto, there's a huge outbreak of COVID. One of the bars shut down. The other one they didn't have to shut, but they definitely had to do a cleaning.
Mhm.
But like this affected other drag queens who were working in a time when no one's really working. And all of these Drag Race Canada queens, and I'm not judging this because they're young. It's hard to feel the cold touch of mortality when you're 20. You think you're immortal and the world's your oyster. And you're right, and it is. But there's more than these girls to think about. So if they go out and get coronavirus, in most cases, none of them will even know. And that's all well and good. But how many people are they coming in contact with? And I think one of the queens, I won't say which one because I'm sure she's getting hate for it enough. One of the queens said something after the outbreak about the village and stay away from the village or you'll get COVID. Well, every business felt that. Because this queen was enough of a deal that enough people were like, oh, yeah. And they're doing damage control now, apparently, from what I hear. Because I have to tell you, I don't follow these people. They're
Mhm.
not my friends. I'm not pretending they're my friends. If they want to interview me, if they want me to interview them, I'd be happy to. I'm not calling anyone to interview them. I'm not like I'm reviewing the show.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in like sometimes like Bianca Del Rio I follow because she's a stand-up comic. Also, she's very talented. Adore Delano I keep my eye on because I love a giraffe. And Ben de la Creme and Ginger Minge are my girls. If they asked me to help them bury a body, I would just show up and be with a tarp. I'd like, where is it? Let's go. And in fact, Ben de la Creme I interviewed a couple of times when I was on the radio. And then when I met her for the first time, she knew who I was, which flattered the hell out of me. When I met Sharon Needles, I interviewed her. And this was back in the goatee days. There's a video on my channel of me interviewing Sharon Needles in the goatee. At that time, I used to have this nude ruffle. So it looked like I had an off-the-shoulder dress if you were just looking at me, but I would put like a t-shirt on underneath it. So it didn't look like anything. And so it's me with my goatee and my bad wig talking to Sharon Needles. When she walked into the room, and what was funny is like this was right after her win. She was doing a show in Toronto. She was maybe 10 minutes late, like not even considered late. She walked in alone. There was no one with her. And she immediately said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but my broom broke down." And then we all giggled and she said, "Can I just take a minute to finish my nails?" And she literally stuck me out and looked up at me. I'm sitting there. She's like, "Oh, I am so serious." And I couldn't believe she quoted me because that's what I say on my show. And she's like, "Wilma?" And I'm like, and I couldn't, we sat there for like 2 hours after the interview, just chatting and like while she was waiting for the show to start, like just like we've been friends our whole life. And I've run into her a few times with different events that have happened in Toronto. And she still remembers who I am. And she's only met me, she's never met me like this. I don't know if she'd recognize me like this, but she is familiar with me out of drag. Bianca Del Rio, I interviewed a few times. And another like really, really sweet person. When I met her, because again, I was interviewing these people for radio, like I said, "Hi, oh hi, I'm Wilma Finderdoo." Oh, and I'm a beast. I'm 6'4", like I'm a lot. So some of them are like, "Oh," you know, like, but they're all great. Ben de la Creme, Ginger Minge, like there are certainly, I think that the thing we have to remember, and this is very true with the Canadian Drag Race, because I know these people, and they're bar queens. These people were bar queens up until this show. There's nothing about these queens that says they're not bar queens after. They're just now known. So they're still going to be messy. They're still going to be inappropriate. They're not going to be the most user-friendly celebrities because they're bar queens. And I think the hardest thing is that people, all of a sudden, they've been on TV, they expect certain things out of people. And there's no kind of like, transitional moment where they take them from the hotel and then sit them down and explain media to them before they let them go. Just so you know, this will happen and this will happen if you act like that. So don't. And there you go. And so many of these queens, like I think Milk was a huge example of this, where she was hot, everyone wanted to have sex with her after her season, and when she came back for All Stars, she thought she was all that in a bag of chips, and she wasn't even the chips. It's like it. And again, another queen, a beautiful queen, handsome, has a fairly easy life. When you're pretty, I'm not saying that you get a lot, but the doors open quicker. People are more, you get a drink bought for you a lot more than an ugly girl, So it's, there's a certain ease in life that I think appealing people really, it's like white privilege, it's beauty privilege. They just go through life. They don't realize that it's not like that for the ugly because they don't care about the ugly. I'm off. Beauty privilege. That's the next one.
That's so funny because I used to work at a bowling alley and I would call it hot people privilege.
Aha! It's true. It's true. They don't have to be funny, but everyone laughs at their jokes. I'm hoping that with my mouth open while I'm laughing, your penis will fall into it. Stuff like that.
Well, you know what, Wilma, it has been great talking to you tonight.
Oh, thank you so much.
Before I let you go, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you at.
Well, I'm on YouTube. If you just Google search Wilma Finderdoo with 2 O's, but it's the Fingerdoo Review. I'm also on Instagram, W Fingerdoo with 2 O's, and I'm on Twitter. And I think it's, see, I'm so terrible at this because I don't know what my handle is. I don't message myself, but I think on Twitter it's the Wilma Finderdoo. If you search Fingerdoo with 2 O's, you will find me. I'm the first one that hits.
Absolutely. Well, it has been so much fun talking to you tonight. Bye.
Bye. Mwah, miss me.